What up, no? Throwing it back like they did at the motherfucking Super Bowl. And that's right. This is the maiden voyage for Knockouts and 3 Counts as part of the All Sports, All Plays Network. Shout out to Freddie Henderson. Like I said, if you haven't already done so, check out here. If you guys are new over here, we talk wrestling, we talk MMA, we talk boxing, we talk, and in this case, you got the Super Bowl. So we're going to talk some football, we're going to talk some wrestling, we're going to talk some fighting. And I'm going to let you guys know, for you guys who are watching, this Thursday, 9 p.m., we will be joined by the lovable psychopath himself, Tommy Vendetta, before he goes to war with Hoodfoot. And he's also got something going on at ICW No Holds Barred, both same night in Chicago. It's going to be a nasty motherfucker. So, Donald, I know if you're watching, you've been saying you want to see Tommy Vendetta on the show for quite a while. I know Tommy Vendetta is your homie, so make sure you check that out this Thursday. But like I said, we're part of a new network. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let everybody know what's good. Freddie, I see in the comments, we were just letting them know that this Thursday, they're going to be joined by the lovable psychopath himself, Tommy Vendetta. But that's Thursday. Right now, we got to talk about what happened this past weekend. And again, like I said, for any of you guys who are new here watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Facebook, all that good shit. Well, fellas, how was your weekend?
It went well. I mean, I may not have gotten all my picks right. That's for sure. A bunch of people I wanted to win may not have went that direction, being both the main event, the co-main event, the Super Bowl. I mean, we could go down the list, right? A bunch of people I had predicted and hoped to win were unable to. But that being said, I had noted in last Thursday's show when we had did our brief Super Bowl picks that this was the rarest of occasions where I wanted both teams to win. I was going for Cincy. They weren't able to pull it off, but I am not mad to see Stafford walk out with a ring. So all in all, I had a entertaining weekend is how I would describe this last weekend.
I don't know how you feeling, J-Bone.
I'm feeling good, man. There's a lot that went down over the weekend, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of crazy stuff. Hey, this is the world we live in, right? This is stuff we like, and it's got us on our toes, man. We are on our toes.
Well, you got to be on your toes because, like I said at the top of the show, a shout out to Freddie. Hopefully, there's going to be some cool things coming your way come Mania weekend and all that stuff. But why don't we go in order and we'll go down the line. So before we get to all of the wrestling news, yes, it does say in the description we're supposed to be joined by the homie Chris Coonnor of Last Call with Chris Coonnor. Like I said, we will be joined by him hopefully here shortly. Like I said, though, there's a lot to talk about. So first of all, let's talk about UFC 271. What were your overall thoughts of the pay-per-view as a whole?
Pay-per-view as a whole, to start as a night in general, entertaining, man. I mean, like, realistically, whenever you're opening a pay-per-view with a Bobby Green performance like we've seen this past Saturday, man, that's always a great way to start it. The prelims were entertaining, both the early prelims and the actual traditional prelims, but both were entertaining as hell to watch. The pay-per-view didn't disappoint either. So it's great, man. I mean, it was a great night of fights. Like I noted, maybe not a couple of people I wanted to. The main event could have been a little more entertaining, right? Like, I mean, maybe we were all expecting a little more out of that one. But other than that, man, solid pay-per-view.
Well, J-Bone, I know you didn't get to watch it live because you were fucking around at the tin roof. I ain't mad at you though. You got some good stuff coming that way. But I don't know, man. What'd you think of the performances we saw from Izzy and Tai Tuivasa? And
very entertaining stuff. I'll tell you what, that, like Corey just said, man, that card from top to bottom was very, very entertaining. There was not really a dull moment in that pay-per-view for me, at least. But there is one I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. But like you said, man, the main event, I think we wanted more, but I think that was the smartest way for it to go. You know what I mean? Especially for Bobby Knuckles, man. It's easy to get caught in there. So the way he did it was probably the best way he could have did it. I mean, got to say, maybe Izzy's got his number.
I mean, if all right, so since you're leading with that, I want to get your guys' thoughts. How did you guys score the fight? Do you guys? I know you guys
I
have
had
probably
it
seen the
3-2
rumbling.
Izzy.
Yeah, I was about to say I had it 3-2.
Yeah. Okay. I need to watch a more detailed breakdown of it. It's hard for me to say, and I'm not. I watched it over at Kyle's house, so I don't have the pay-per-view rights, I guess you could say. So I wasn't able to watch it back myself. Not spending $80 on a damn replay of something I already watched. That's for sure. But
Hell,
that
I
being
didn't want to
said,
spend $80 for fucking buying something before I saw it.
right.
I'm just saying.
Right, you ain't wrong there either. But
I mean,
that
I'm
being
just
said,
saying.
I'm definitely not spending it on something I had already watched on Saturday. And but I really do want to watch a more detailed breakdown of this fight because I feel as though with it being kind of as back, not necessarily even back and forth because nobody was ever leading the dance. Maybe Izzy had Rob on the back foot more, but it felt like Rob was the only one that was throwing real strikes with intent. It seemed like Izzy was just comfortable kind of being the pressure. I want to watch a more detailed breakdown. I feel as though I can agree with it really going either way from what I was watching on Saturday. It was super close. And I feel like the margins, especially in a lot of these rounds, are the way that fights are judged when you're talking a 10-round must system and everything that goes into that, man. There's not a lot of room for wiggle in these semi-lackluster fights when nobody's necessarily taken over. And I feel like that's what we've seen, and that's what made it so close in the end.
All right. So obviously, like Corey said, we were watching it together. For me, like I think Whitaker, you could definitely see changes in Whitaker's game. You could see that he went back and tried to change some things, obviously, with as much as he tried to wrestle. My reasoning for giving the fight 3-2 is because even with the takedowns, I still feel like overall the pace of the fight was controlled really by Izzy. Any of you guys who watched UFC 271 or have seen the highlights, I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. But with that being said, I mean, I just feel like the overall pace of the fight was controlled by Izzy. And we've talked about this multiple times on the show, but again, in my opinion, in order for you to get a belt, it's just like what Izzy said, though. You don't get a belt off the champ by you did enough. You get a belt because you beat the champ. And and I feel like in this one, even if you do give Robert Whitaker the nod in that fight, I feel like that fight was entirely too close for that one to go against Izzy.
Yeah, and it realistically, I think it was Izzy seemed very comfortable with the decision at the end. He seemed like kind of like he did in the Marvin Vettori fight, where he was just like, "Yep, they're gonna go in there and raise my hand, not a single doubt in it." And I don't think that was necessarily the case. He was kind of drinking the Michael Bisping Kool-Aid and thinking that he had just coasted through all those rounds. And I truly don't think that was the case. I was already making the argument. I mean, granted, I was on the Rob side, but I felt as though he did enough to win that second round because it was just so back and forth. And then even though he did absolutely jack shit with it, he was able to secure a takedown, and that was the defining moment in the round between the two because nobody else did anything. You know, it was just pitter-pattering back and forth. So, like, there was really rounds in there where I felt like Rob did enough to kind of sneak it out. To your point, Kyle, I normally agree with you. You got to kind of really win the belt in these circumstances and these title fights, but it is a round-by-round basis, and
he didn't win that fight decisively, even if you gave him those rounds.
Yeah, even if he did, and then
even if
you would,
I gave him round 2. I saw round 2 and 5 for him.
Yeah, 2 and 5 are 2 and 5 in my eyes at least were the more for sure, and even 2 was like so back and forth that I could see where you would give it to the champ.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Edge,
like
so.
There were 2 rounds that I could clearly say there was a good argument to be had that he could have won that round. Outside of those rounds, I'm sorry, I don't see any round that he like dominated Izzy like that. And again, okay, so you won. I'm not taking anything away from him. He won a few rounds, but there was no point in that fight where I'm like, oh shit, Whitaker's really coming back at Izzy like that.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. And there was never a point in that fight where I thought to myself and said, you know what? Oh, shit. Robert Whittaker might really take the belt off him. Because even in the parts where Izzy was losing, the overall momentum of that fight, just to me,
there was never that oh shit moment, right? Like there was never that like, oh, he landed the big shot. It was like, oh, he landed a nice double jab. Oh, he landed a nice double jab. Oh, he landed a nice counter hook. Like but it was never enough with enough force to really to change the momentum in a title fight, especially against somebody with the striking prowess of Izzy. You really got to go in there and gain his respect with something solid that lands, and Rob wasn't able to do that. He was able to, for somebody that I had noted in the weigh-ins and everything in the face-offs and stuff, he looked like he was 8 inches shorter, and his arms were like significantly shorter. The size difference looked real, and for him to be able to put on the performance he was without getting hit, because other than that first round, he didn't really get hit in that fight. That's one thing you can say for old Bobby Knuckles. But I agree. I don't think it would be a title winning performance because he just wasn't able to kind of edge it out. But what do you guys think with the likely, at least it seems like Dana White's all but confirmed it, the new number 1 contender in Jared Cannonier being able to get the victory over old Blonde Brunson on the weekend?
I mean, I'm all for it. We'll talk about Blonde Brunson in a minute because I've got an issue with Blonde Brunson, because if that motherfucker would have just kept doing his job, I would be $127 richer right now.
I knew it was going to come to that.
The other 2 legs of my parlay worked out just fine. I had Tai Tuivasa, and what did I say on this show? I thought that the youth of Tai Tuivasa was going to be what won it. Isn't that what I said when we made our picks? And what happened? What happened? Exactly what I said would happen. And then we get to the main event. And what did I say there? I didn't say he'd finish him. I said it would be a better fight, and I said that it would go far. And what happened? He didn't finish him, but Israel Adesanya still walks out as your middleweight champion. And because of that, because Brunson just couldn't get the job done again, motherfucker, I am not $125 richer. So if any of you guys are watching this and lost some money on those bets, I'd love to know how much money DraftKings or fucking FanDuel or any of them got from you, because they got some money from me this weekend. It was only $15, but it's the principle, damn it. It's the principle.
When all your other legs hit and then your one gets chopped, and especially being that it was the first fight.
He was winning the fucking fight, though. He was winning. Decisively winning the fight.
Yeah, but that being said, those elbows that Cannonier was throwing.
Right. I'm not taking anything away from Cannonier. Dude. That's why I said Cannonier is the rightful number 1 contender at this point. But for me and my selfish ass ways, I wanted 127 extra dollars. Because damn it, I got to go to Texas soon. And Texas is going to be expensive because it's going to be WrestleMania weekend, and I don't get to get out much.
In general.
So I don't get to get out much. So I'm looking to really have a good time when I get to Dallas. That's what we're gonna say.
Well,
so Freddie, when I get to Texas,
investments in sports gambling is the way to get there. But
look, I needed extra spending cash. It works, Freddie. When I get to Dallas, we need to have a drink or something. Hot damn it, Devin! When you hear this, there better be a beer waiting.
Life tips on knockouts and 3 counts. Sports gambling isn't the way to go. Not if you want to get rich.
That's why I didn't bet anything that I could afford. I couldn't afford to lose. But I'm just saying,
a little bit of everything for everybody.
That being said, though, man, what are your guys' thoughts on the fight, though? Because I mean, like you had said, Kyle, Brunson did great in the first round, and I thought that was going to be his game plan.
Cannonier showed that he has a chin, and quite frankly, he went in there and did what he was supposed to. He made a statement. And if you're trying to become the number 1 contender, a statement is what does that. And he knocked Brunson the fuck out. Period. Yeah. There was no question on a stoppage or a nothing. That man was knocked the fuck out. And that's what it is. That man was knocked the fuck out.
He kind of just had to outlast Brunson. You know what I mean?
Like, that's exactly what it was. He had to outlast the initial storm. And on top of that, you also got to take into effect, even though Brunson was hitting him, his punches were so sloppy, bro. He was laying right into him. And I'm like, dude, if this guy times you and uppercuts your shit, you're over with. And I mean, Corey, how many fights have we watched, and how often do I tell you the guys that throw lazy punches like that drive me up the fucking wall, and this is why.
It seemed like, I don't know if Brunson was starting to feel his own Kool-Aid, if maybe that bleach had soaked a layer too deep or something. I'm not quite too sure exactly what was going on here. But it seemed like he was living up to his own hype a little bit, and to your point, Kyle, had got a little bit lazy in the fight. And that's one thing that we could say in his winning streak as of late is he's been doing a great job of sticking to his game plan. Whether it's the most entertaining of fights or not, he was able to get everybody to the ground, control them there, and win fights in a dominant fashion, whether it be with the most damage or not. It was definitely a dominant performance, and that's why he'd worked up so high up the ladder so quickly again. But that being said, man, it definitely took all of the steam out of the whole Blonde Brunson gimmick, basically, because he had already came out before the fight saying he was only fighting twice. He wanted this in one more fight, maybe one more if he won the title in his next fight, and now he's saying one more and it's a career. So,
well, that number one should have been signed number one. When you're already talking about retirement, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But before we talk about how Tied to Ivasa just like took a fat piss in Derek Lewis's Cheerios, all right, in his hometown. You know, we were talking about Blonde Brunson and how I feel that Blonde Brunson owes me some fucking money, damn it. I would have $125 more in my account if Blonde Brunson would have just stuck to the game plan and would have finished the job. But if you need a job finished to get you some more motherfucking money at tax season, G3 payroll and tax is the way to go. Check out the homie Jack Gerard if you guys are in need of business taxes, personal taxes, bookkeeping, compilation of financial statements, reconciliation of all bank accounts and credit cards, payroll processing, filing of all payroll tax forms, and processing payments of payroll tax liabilities. Jack and G3 payroll are the way to go. So if you want to get all the money back come tax time, hit up the homies from G3. Anyways, Tied to Ivasa, man, Tied to Ivasa. That fight,
Man,
I just want to say, take 1 minute and just say, I told you so. I told you so, and it literally went exactly how I said it would. I said he's going to have to outlast the initial storm from Lewis, and when he does, his gas tank is going to be what's going to end up getting him. And what happened? He weathered him out, and bam, pop goes the weasel. Derek Lewis goes down, and damn, do you not feel bad for this dude? Both times he fights in Houston, and both times he gets beat. So
it's kind of crazy. We're talking about gas tanks with these guys, right? It's kind of weird. Doesn't even go in the same conversation usually for these two. But
I mean,
you're right, man. He did it the right way. He took some shots from Derek Lewis. Don't act like this dude didn't get hit, because he took some shots from Derek Lewis. He took maybe his best, and he withstood it, man, and came through it. Like, you got to feel bad for Derek Lewis, though, dude. That he's 0 for 2 now in Texas. Like, if it's anything like the WWE, you don't get to win in your hometown anyway. But it's a little different story. It's got to suck.
Yeah.
So here's the question, though, right? Out of how all that played out, I mean, obviously, I would say it's a pretty safe bet to say that the next person to face Izzy needs to be Cannonier. So if that's the way we're going to go next for the title, now what happens to Sean Strickland? Who the fuck does Sean Strickland fight next? Because I don't feel like the performance he had oversteps what Cannonier did by any means.
No, and that was the whole thing, right? And he had even noted that in his media and stuff leading into the fight, that he felt like he could go in there and steal the title fight if he put on a great performance.
I mean, I would say he did.
He didn't. I'm not saying no. I'm saying Strickland said that in his media.
I thought you meant.
He thought his performance would outshine because it was just a week, away type. long story short, it didn't live up to expectations.
He did what Sean Strickland said he was going to do. He was talking all that about violence, and fucking Cannonier's bouncing Brunson's head off the mat like a basketball. Like, here's an elbow, an elbow, an elbow, an elbow. We're going to just keep dribbling his head off the ball.
So he did what I see so many fighters do when they're in training, right? You see them with the punch dummy, the guy that they're always, the ground dummy that they're always wrestling with. And they'll just get on top and start raining elbows, but it's rare that you ever see that position actually used in a fight. Cannonier used that position in a fight, used all that experience of elbowing the shit out of the dummy, and used that on Brunson, unfortunately.
I mean, all I'm saying is, like I said, I have all the respect in the world for Brunson. I hope he gets a speedy recovery.
So
but
who's there with Strickland as far as the middleweights though? It would be like, what was he, like number 5, 6?
I mean,
who's around there? Costa maybe? But where's Vettori?
I feel as though Costa would be the best bet because
him and
Vettori are friends, so they're not fighting. He already came out and said
hell no. There's no reason that Costa should get shit after his last couple fights. I don't want to hear shit about Costa getting anywhere near a title until that motherfucker can make 185. Because he didn't even make 205.
Close.
He didn't even make 205. If you're telling me that you'd give a title shot to Costa or a chance at a number one contender spot above somebody else, fuck
Valid
you.
Point.
No way. He can't even make
point.
If you can't even make 185, you lose off rip, dog.
I'm looking at the rankings now. So it looks like in front of Strickland, you got Brunson, Vettori, Cannonier, and Whitaker. So obviously Cannonier is going to get that title shot. So maybe we see Strickland and Whitaker.
Okay, so fine.
That's what I was going to say.
Fine. Do Strickland and Whitaker or Strickland and Vettori.
That would be a wild fight if they did him versus Whitaker. It would be.
I still think Whitaker beat him.
Costa's only one ranking down, but I wouldn't want to see him.
No, he does not deserve any type of fight towards any of you guys who are MMA fans. I see you guys watching. I appreciate you. If you guys are new fans and part of the All Sports All Plays Network fam, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button so you see us every Tuesday and Thursday at 9. Like I said, we're going to be joined by the lovable psychopath Tommy Vendetta this Thursday. Like I said, you never know who will be in that box with us. But, dude, like I said, fuck that. There's no way Costa gets in a number one contender fight.
He is against this guy, ain't he?
Yeah,
he can't even make the weight.
Hey, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing with you. You're not wrong.
What up,
at
though, Cody? One of them OGs in here. What up, though, man? We're going to get talking about some Elimination Chamber. I want to know what the fuck you want to see at WrestleMania, man. Make sure you stay tight with us. But, fuck that.
I had heard rumblings that it's going to be.
Costa's a bitch. I'll have a couple homies from the county.
I heard the rumblings that it's supposed to be Rockhold versus Costa next anyway. So that one seems to be.
That's fine. Run that fight and let Strickland and Whitaker fight if that's not what we're doing. And to me, that's the end of the 185. Like I said, Tai Tuivasa absolutely murdered Derek Lewis. I think he probably might be looking at a title shot real soon, because they're not letting him play over who. If you say Stipe, it should be Stipe, but they're not playing ball with Stipe. So since they're not playing ball,
it seems to be that with the injury to Ngannou and everything else going on with the contract disputes and stuff, that they're going to be going the interim title route again.
I hate this shit so much.
And with that being the case, though, this one time,
whatever happened to title eliminator fights? Why can't we do like they did in boxing? Where this fight is
with
I got
fight
this up right now. Tai Tuivasa jumped 8 spots in the rankings.
To number 3.
Good, he should.
So why not? I mean, I don't want to see Stipe because I feel like Stipe, he needs a legacy fight now. He's on his way out. He probably needs a legacy fight. But why not Gone?
No, Stipe is one of the greatest of all time. They need to give him his just due and at least give him a chance to get back there, because look, he got destroyed. Should he have gotten an immediate title shot? No. But at the same time, you mean to tell me that he gets beat one time after he already beat the guy that beat him, and he goes all the way back down the way? Fuck that. If
Well, what's
anybody
better
else
for him, another title shot or a shot at John Jones?
Yeah,
fine,
John
have them
Jones
fight for the number
interim
one
title.
contender.
That's an interim title. You can't put a fight like that without the interim title, man.
Fuck interim titles. That title don't mean nothing.
It does, though. It does
not.
in the legacy of it all.
I mean, at this point,
What
I guess
legacy?
on
That's
his way
not
out,
the real champion.
What matters more to Stipe? Is it the paycheck for the John Jones fight, or is it the title fight?
The paycheck.
I personally would say the paycheck because I don't think the dude has much more to prove. But
he ain't got shit to prove. He's already the best heavyweight of all time.
And if that's the case, you want to, yet again, the one thing I always boil down to, and the one reason why I usually am okay with these interim title fights is these pay-per-view points that usually boil down to the interim title champ as well once they have acquired that belt. So
Cody knows what's up. He said the same thing. Paycheck all day. Like I said, Stipe's already got all the accolades when it comes to world titles and shit. There's nobody at heavyweight that's ever going to be able to touch him. At this point, he just wants to get paid. And if anything, if they were going to do that, then let him fight Ngannou again, because if that's the case, he beat the shit out of Ngannou the first time. So if that's the game we're going to play, then fuck that. He should get to go back and fight him again too. So, like I said, I think the most fair way to
think what's next for Ty though. So would that be Gone?
I think no, because okay, fine. Have him and Gone fight, and have Jones and Stipe fight, and have the winner fight for a number one contender.
Yeah, little Grand Prix tournament. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
see, hey, we already got people saying about Stardust. Oh my God, son of a bitch! Son of a bitch! Don't you go putting that in the air, my guy. I appreciate you watching us. First of all, I hope you make sure you hit that subscribe button on the Knockouts and 3 Counts page so you don't miss us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But that being said, don't you even go putting that Stardust shit out in the air, because if Cody comes back, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. The character was okay for what it was. But damn it, if Cody goes from this to Stardust, he is instantly the biggest hypocrite in wrestling history. Instantly. Like, this is over the polka dots with his dad, in my opinion. Like, I feel like the polka dots weren't his dad's fault. But if you go back there and let them do Stardust after you did all that shit, damn it.
Look, man,
I've got my thoughts on that, and we will get
about it all fucking day. I'm not gonna believe it. I know there's rumblings, I know there's rumors and the dirt sheets and all that shit. While it would be it pretty much shake the structure of wrestling, period. But I'm not gonna believe it until I see him walk out on TV. I just refuse to believe it.
That's what I've seen and heard from everybody, is that they don't believe it until they see it. You know, like,
he'll be the American Nightmare with the U.S. title. Okay, well, so here we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So that pretty much covers everything for UFC.
Real quick, Bobby Green,
great performance. Bobby Green looked great.
Renato Moicano, great performance. And then we can say
Bobby Green's ridiculous.
Bobby Green's always a dog. I love watching Bobby Green fight. He always gets in there and scraps. And I like the fact that he really got to look good for a change. It wasn't just a war in which you can say the other guy did. I think Bobby Green clearly won that fight.
Put on a masterpiece.
Yeah, dude. So I definitely shout out to Bobby Green. I would love to have Bobby Green on the show at some point. So, Freddie, if you're still watching, if it's somebody that you can get in touch with, let's get Bobby Green on the show. But with that being said, that was UFC. I guess before we get into our picks for Elimination Chamber for the weekend, since we've already got people in the comments talking about it, it's as good enough as any of a place to start in the beginning of our wrestling portion of the show. Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes.
Breaking news.
Well, shit. Cody Rhodes and Brandy are officially Austin returns or Cody leaves and AEW. Wow. See, you know, that's why I take the time to type out these descriptions and shit. We're also going to talk about the thing that may make the 8-year-old in me that started watching wrestling might make my fucking heart explode, being in 100,000 people in Texas. And I will gladly FaceTime you, J-Bone, and be like, fuck you while I'm sitting there enjoying it. Because I am really looking forward to it. And if that happens, dude, I'm going to lose my shit.
How dare you have a daughter?
What? He's got it right. What?
It's
just so
it's
happened to be 9 months planned ahead,
What?
just so that you
Yeah,
couldn't go to
it's
the show with me 10
it's
years later.
it seems to
This is
be
bullshit.
it seems to be very frowned upon changing your child's birth date for WrestleMania. So
They're still
What?
not allowing that to go through, huh?
it's not gonna
They
work
didn't
out.
know Stone Cold was coming yet. You got to tell them that Stone Cold's
I
coming.
wrote it
You
on the
tell them
paper.
that Stone
I said
Cold's coming.
I wrote it on the
makes
paper.
it.
I said, well, because Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, and it's like, yeah, it's just not good enough for us, pal. So
I want to change her birthday to 3/16.
there we go.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this with Cody and Brandy. First of all, J-Bone, do you think this so when this news came down and everybody started hitting me up and asking what I thought about it, which if you guys are new here, make sure you're following us at KO3C Pod. Feel free to tweet at us whenever the fuck you want, because we ain't scared. Like I said, you never know what we're gonna get in these Zoom boxes. But like we were saying, when I got this whole thing sent to me, at first I was like, maybe it's part of a story. Maybe Cody comes back and this is like how they turn him heel, or what exactly, like what exactly happened. And then when I saw the release from Tony Khan and AEW, like, no shit, this is legit. Here's the other thing that makes this so interesting. And what up, Doe? Sophia checking in from across the motherfucking border. I was surprised I didn't see that happening. Wishing the best. I agree. Sophia, I need you to stick around here because I need to know what your thoughts are. I need to know what your thoughts are on where he goes. But like I said, my initial thought on this when everybody kept, kind of sticking this out to me was, do you think it had, I don't think it had anything to do with what was in the ring. We've heard a lot talked about how the EVPs, meaning him and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, all kind of lost a little bit of their power and within the company. I don't know if that just means booking or what happened. Oh shit, last call. Chris Connor has now joined us. Like I said, better late than never, and we made it for last call. Oh shit,
you guys, my apologies.
all right, so you came in at the perfect timing. I was just kind of posing the question to J-Bone and Corey, and since you were a little bit late in this one, I will reiterate tonight's news, and that's now that we are part of the All Sports All Plays Network, and stay tuned come WrestleMania. But
nice, congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. We'll have to see where your next move goes now that we're both off the Blue Wire Hustle roster over here and all that kind of shit. But we were talking about somebody else who's off the roster. We were talking about Cody Rhodes and we were talking about Brandy Rhodes. What I was getting into is when this was first sent to me, my initial thought is I don't feel like this has to do with what was going on in the ring. I really don't, because I mean, let's face it, Cody is old school in wrestling and doesn't give a shit about the whole being booed. Thank you, Sophia. Like I said, hopefully good things to come with us over here at the new ASAP network. Also, our boy Whip has joined the network. So, make sure you stay tuned to them. But like I was saying, I don't think it had to do with in the ring. I think a lot of it had to do with, at least from an outside view, and I don't have any confirmed facts or any of that, but we all know, because Tony Khan said it and so did Cody, that the EVPs, they had stepped back a little bit, that they don't have as much power in the booking and all that shit as well. So for me, that screams out that Cody, being somebody who was so adamant on wanting to be able to tell things the way he wanted when he left WWE, it seems to me that it would be more up of that ilk. We got some more comments in there, but Chris, since you just hopped in, please give us your thoughts on Cody and Brandy leaving, and where do you see them going? As we got some comments out here from Jerry and Sophia. Jerry saying WWE made a literal $1 billion last year. They threw cash money at Cody. WWE needs him more than AEW right now. But you don't think that he'll get the hypocrite role for that if he does that? Sophia, there's been reports, man, everyone's saying back to WWE. I don't think
That's
that's
all I've
like,
been seeing. It's all I've been
Yeah.
seeing.
I don't
That's
think that
literally
that's
the
such a
only
done
thing.
deal, though. I just don't. But Chris, what are your thoughts on?
you know what? To me, it makes perfect sense because they have the money, they have the network stuff. He and his wife been wanting to do a TV thing.
But they already got picked up for a second season on TNT already.
Yeah, but you know what? You have Fox, you have USA Network, you have all these now streaming networks here that W's in partnering with because of the Peacock Network and all this here. And look, you heard reports that Tony Khan is they don't have the money right now. They're not spending like it's water because they've spent too much. They have 130 wrestlers on that roster. They can't just, and it's not like Vince who has billions of dollars. He has all the networks. And he can just turn, go, all right, I'll kind of check. What do you want? Cons don't operate that way. They're spending a lot of their own money on this. So you heard from a lot of people. Okay, all right, they're hoping that the new TV deal in 2024 gives them more money. That's a long way off. And I think for Cody, he looked and went, okay, I'm no longer happy. I don't really get along with the VPs and a lot of things here. I want me and my wife want to have our own brand here, and if I'm not gonna if this isn't gonna be what I thought it was gonna be, and maybe there are promises of ownership stake or that TNT was going to do more specials with him. I don't know what happened, but something happened where I think Cody went, this isn't what I expected. So I think he's a WWE guy. He was always the one of the VPs who was sort of in that, genre, part of that group. I will say this. I think Jericho's next one Jericho will be the next guy to go because it just makes sense.
Okay, so I can agree with that in theory, but here's my thing. More so with Cody on this one as opposed to Jericho. I guess my biggest reason for not thinking that WWE is the way to go, and I see you in the comments, Sophia, and I agree with what you're saying because I've said it multiple times here on this show. Usually when there's smoke, there's fire. I agree with that. I'm not arguing that. But the reason I feel like this is a different situation is because Cody, with the way he left and the tear he went on, and to be so specific about wanting to show WWE what he was capable of. I feel like if him and Brandy were to go back there, boy, if you think fans shit on him when he was in AEW, the hypocrite tag that would get put on him if he went back to WWE, son of a bitch. I'm telling you, I feel like that would be an even bigger bad problem for Cody Rhodes if that's
would
what
it
happened.
be good heat or would it be bad heat though?
Not that way, because they'd be thinking you're full of shit at that point.
Yeah. See, my thing on this,
it's a different crowd of them. Sorry to jump in, but we keep forgetting the WWE universe is much different from the AEW universe. AEW are the smart marks.
Are the crowds different? Yes, I agree with that. But
if it goes, it's gonna be all forgiven. Let me look at the audience. It's little kids. It's families. I doubt they're on the internet. They probably don't go to like.
Is it though? Because look at Goldberg with what we're about to talk about with Elimination Chamber. I mean, they brought Goldberg back like that, and he's getting shit all over by WWE fans, even if it is more about the kids.
Yeah, Goldberg's a whole different thing, though. I mean, Goldberg is a guy you just look and go, wow, Grandpa's being brought back. Cody's still a guy that's young. You keep looking for new things. I mean, to me, there are a lot of fans who just forgive him. Go, hey, he's back. He's home. This is where he started. And trust me, when we find out why he leaves, there will be more reasons. The fans will go, hey, he's back. We don't care. He's back.
I think we just had a different, like when AEW started, when he started with all this stuff with the Young Bucks and Omega and everything, I think they just had a different vision of what was going to happen. I don't think they knew years down the road what it was going to look like. And let's be honest, it looks completely different now that Moxley's there, Punk's there, all these guys are there, it just looks different than what we thought it was going to look like, right? So we didn't have a plan after this 2 years or whatever it was.
Well, Sophia
and now
brings
we're
up a
here,
good
so.
point. Sophia brings up a good point, and it's something that we've talked about. And I mean, it's been teased, it's been teased around too. Mox's contract is up in 6 months too. Mox's contract is up. Cody's contract is up. Jericho's contract is coming up soon. You've got multiple guys, big guys, that are going to come up on a contract. And so the reason why Cody is, I don't know, with the whole WWE thing is because, like you said, yes, he has the reality TV show, but that's also been picked up for a second season on TNT. On top of that, you also have, he's also one of the hosts on the Go Big show with on TBS as well. So either way, he's still going to be a face on TBS. A couple of the options that I heard thrown around, I mean, obviously the front runner that everyone's talking about at this point is that they think he's going to go back to WWE, but what about Ring of Honor? What if he fucking went and bought Ring of Honor? Like, we know it's up to sale. I mean, they say they're coming back, and they got the show WrestleMania weekend in Dallas for Supercard of Honor and all that. I mean, could you imagine if Cody just showed up back in Ring of Honor?
I mean, it would be a great way for Ring of Honor to get a splash, whether it's, him purchasing it and becoming the new owner and all that, or if it was just an appearance. But either way, it'd be a great way to get a splash, that's for sure.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. What do you think? I mean, do you think there's any chance that maybe he buys like a Ring of Honor or something like that? Because that's been an option I've seen thrown around too, which I personally wouldn't have a problem with. And from the point that Ring of Honor was like the first place he made a big splash when he left WWE. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I just, does he have that money? I mean,
he had to get paid from that AEW contract, especially with being an EVP.
You're talking about the value of, an organization, which let's say Impact Wrestling, for example. You probably want to buy them. That's probably about $50 million at least, because you have the contracts, you have the library, you have the TV deals. Most wrestlers don't have that. Most people don't have that. That's why you have, multimillionaires and billionaires buying organizations. Mm-hmm. Does Cody have that much money? And, okay, let's say he buys it. Like, does he have enough money then to hire more wrestlers? Does he have, money to get onto a different network? I mean, to me, as I said, for most of these guys, and Cody's been around, he's seen what happens, how wrestlers can quickly just go broke. I think he looks at WWE and just goes, look, it's going to be offering me a lot of money. I can use a lot of the stuff they have, which is with Fox, which is with the Peacock network, their own, network here. I mean, it's the safest thing. And I think for Cody, it's been these last 2 years, he's realized, crap, I can't count on a lot of stuff anymore. With COVID, with lockdowns, with the economy here, inflation, I need to make money. I have kids now on the way.
Yeah.
It's true. Hey, maybe it's all the work, man. Maybe they let him go to buy Ring of Honor, and they're going to have a working relationship between Ring of Honor and AEW. They're going to take over the whole wrestling world.
Sophia says, I feel like Cody wants to get more money now. He proved that he can be a main event player in AEW. Look at Drew McIntyre. He also has a family to worry about. You're not lying, man. And that's definitely something to be said. Sad hopping back in here as well. He comes back with more value to WWE. He totally's got more value. I mean, Vince can't look at him and not look at him as a top tier. I mean, let me take that back. Shouldn't be able to look at him and not say, you know what, this guy has to be a top star, because we know Vince does whatever the fuck Vince wants.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. He definitely has more value when he comes back to WWE. So if that's the way it goes, it definitely would make a splash. I don't know that I'm sold yet that that's what's going to happen. But since you already brought it up, see, that's the great thing about when people read these descriptions. They already know where we're going with things. And I'm not going to lie, just the prospect of this happening has got like the 8-year-old in me excited as a motherfucker. I just want you to know that, because the fact that we're even talking about the fact in 2022, I could see Stone Cold get in the ring and be there in Dallas with 100,000 people. And yeah, that sounds pretty fucking badass to me. So what are your guys' thoughts on the prospect of Stone Cold versus KO at WrestleMania?
I hate it. I'm sorry.
What?
I just
What the fuck, Chris? Come on. What the fuck, man?
all right.
What the fuck?
You know what? I'll give you two. I'll give you two words. 2 words for you. You'll even agree with me.
What up, Wiggs?
What up, dude?
That 200
Shawn
sitting good in my
Michaels.
pocket.
Remember Shawn Michaels, who came back and we all thought, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be Michaels and Triple H versus Brother Destruction. And I will say this till I go to my grave, and Jim Cornette could probably even yell at me. The worst wrestling match I ever saw. That was just bad. And this is
Okay.
Shawn Michaels, who's in decent shape here. Austin's 57. He's had, 2 or 3 neck surgeries. Hasn't been in a wrestling ring since, and when I mean wrestling, I mean actively working, taking bumps since maybe 2003.
Okay, hold on 1
years,
second, though. I agree with you. The last time he was in the ring, other than the shit he did with Bischoff, was in 2003 at WrestleMania against The Rock. But Sad basically brought my point up in the comments here, and this is my whole thing. He said it wouldn't last long if he does come back, a quick ground and pound, and then a stunner, 1, 2, 3, over. Okay, if this happens in whatever form, incarnation, match, street fight, whatever the fuck it would end up being, there's no way this lasts longer than 5 or 6 minutes. It's just going to be a get in there, play the hits, hit the stunner, drink some beer, flip them off, hit the Luthez press, call it a fucking day, and drink some beer with us in Texas. I think that's what we're going to get. As long as they keep it to like a 5-6 minute thing, I think this is really good. And I'll tell you why. If not anything else, if they announce Stone Cold is actually going to wrestle at WrestleMania, mark my words right here and now, they will sell out WrestleMania both nights. Since it's not sold out yet, guarantee that'll happen. Number 1, in my opinion. Number 2, the other reason I think that this is good is because, and it'll bring us into Brock Lesnar and what he had to say on the Pat McAfee show, which was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That was fucking amazing. I watched the whole hour-long thing this morning, and shout out to Pat McAfee because I was legit laughing my ass off watching it. But the whole thing with that is, if you do that, you got a guy like Austin, who anyone who has half a brain knows that guy's got one of the best minds in wrestling. All you have to do is watch the Broken Skull sessions and listen to the guy talk. You get him in there with a guy like Kevin Owens. We've all said that Kevin Owens goes through these spurts where he goes up and he goes down and he goes up and he goes down. If you want somebody that can cement Kevin Owens as like the, whatever, not necessarily a next guy, but cement him as a top guy as if he already wasn't. You're basically got the guy that he entrusted the stunner to after he used it because he got the okay from Steve. Steve can put Kevin Owens over. And then you got, even if it's just like the stamp of approval at the end of it, he doesn't have to go over to get over. So, like I say, I think it does a lot of good for Kevin Owens too, in cementing him, just Kevin Owens, as a star, depending upon how they do this. I don't know, J-Bone, how you feeling about it?
I mean, I'm with you, man. I don't think I want to see an actual wrestling match, obviously, because there's just too much what ifs there. But I think you hit the nail on the head. We're probably going to see KO come out there. He's going to talk some trash about being in Texas and how he's obligated to be there. Stone Cold's going to ride down on that 4-wheeler or something with a keg of beer on his back or some shit. He's going to come down.
I just can't wait to hear the glass break, dude. However honestly, this looks like.
It's honestly worth the entrance, really, right? If you think about
the entrance alone is worth it for me.
Just even foreshadowing, and giving hints that he may be there is going to potentially sell that place out. So
dude, that's what I'm saying. It has multiple upsides to it. I totally understand what Chris is saying too, but I just feel like the fact that they know if they announce that or have Stone Cold come out on TV and say, fuck you, I'm going to fuck you up at, WrestleMania, I guarantee you there will be a spike.
I
in
really
ticket
hope
sales
it's not a
that night.
wrestling match. I really hope they don't announce.
Let it just be a street fight. Why can't it just be a street fight?
Last thing I want to see is
talking about a 59-year-old guy. Like, when do we go? Okay, we need to get younger people. We keep
But if
bitching
it's a
about
one and done,
we keep bitching about, well, all these guys are in their 40s. It's like their retirement home now.
you don't think Stone Cold supersedes that though, since we haven't seen him in 17 years?
We've seen this. I said Michaels came back, and everybody's all dancing and shaking, and when we realized, no, it was awful. It was just god awful. There's a reason why it's god awful. You know, none of us are like in our 20s. It's not like we can do stuff we used to be when we were 20 years old. He's not going to be the same guy he was at 30 or 38.
I know that, and I don't expect there. No, I agree. I'm not saying I'm expecting there to be like this big long ass match. That's not at all what I'm saying. But
what happens if he gets injured? Like just like
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I'll give you that. No, I'll give you that. Like that part of it, I completely agree. That would be my biggest concern with both Austin or Rock if they get back in the ring. Not so much Rock, obviously, because he's still. I mean, hell, Austin's in great shape still, too. But I mean, I agree with you in that part. The injury part of it worries me. And I see you in the comments because Jerry is agreeing with Chris. He said, did the Eric Rowan match help The Rock at all? I don't think that any of this is really like. I mean, I don't.
It's just for the fans, dude. It's just for the fans.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think this has got anything necessarily to do with. I think this is just for it being Texas and it being Stone Cold and it being. Like, I really feel like that's all there is to it. Jerry, again, in the comments.
Bring Shane back, Vince. Bring Shane back to get his ass kicked. There we go.
Well, I think that was the plan before. Apparently, it got too big for his britches at the Royal Rumble for everything I hear.
Right.
I mean, I've heard that he was supposed to have a big role at WrestleMania. That's all we keep hearing. And then that happened and shit changed.
I think it could definitely be entertaining with him making an appearance and just kind of like you say, Kyle, going through the greatest hits, playing the set and walking off real quick. But also, it might be just better for him to grab a mic, talk some shit, and walk his way back up that ramp. Honestly, it might just be better that way.
I mean, what's it going to do for Kevin Owens as well? I mean,
no, I agree. I'm with you.
It does much for Kevin Owens. I mean, obviously, you want to be in the ring in the same arena as Stone Cold Steve Austin, but as a guy that was just re-signed, I don't know what they're promising Kevin Owens, but I mean, what are you getting out of that? We are at WrestleMania, and that's all you got for me?
Whoa. Dude, I think Kevin Owens would be just happy to do shit with Stone Cold.
I'm sure.
If we're being honest, like
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as what does it do for his character? Yeah, maybe I don't see anything with that unless maybe you have Austin come out, like say KO beats him at WrestleMania or beats him up or whatever, however it plays out, and then he comes out on Raw or whatever, and Austin comes over and is like, "Look, I said I was going to come back and kick your ass, and you got me with." You got me with my own move or whatever the case, and does what Austin can do on the mic and puts him over or whatever. Now, if they do that, maybe so. I don't know that that's the case. Hell, right now, we don't even know that Austin's going to come back for sure yet.
Nothing.
I mean, he'll be at WrestleMania, but they haven't said anything about a match. All I know is I guess right now I can be put in the Mark category, but I'm totally cool with seeing Stone Cold come back at in Texas, and I agree with what you're saying, Sophie. It's still a rub from the biggest star in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that part I feel like is undeniable. Just the more concerning part, I definitely can understand being how will WWE use that opportunity to have Austin back. Well, I mentioned Pat McAfee and I mentioned all that. Chris, were you privy to get to see the interview with Pat McAfee and Brock Lesnar?
I did not, but I've heard clips, I've seen stuff, and it's very interesting when Brock sort of lets his guard down. You go,
yep,
wow, you start learning a lot about a lot of things.
He is smart motherfucker. That's all I'm going to tell you. You listen to him talk. Like, You know, you would think when you think of a match that's got all the psychology in the world, the match that you don't think of is a Brock Lesnar match. But you listen to him on Pat McAfee, and I mean, hey, you can take it as, you know, shots being fired at you can take it as shots being fired at the newer talent, but really, if you think about what he said, he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
So what he said about, and the part I'm talking about in particular, is at one point in the
Building
interview,
stars.
Brock says, right, not only building stars, but he says more specifically, he said, somebody needs to step the fuck up. And McAfee asked him, what does he mean on elaborating with that? He said that he believes that when I say step up, he goes, you need to realize that having the coolest looking move isn't what's going to get you over with the fans. Somebody needs to learn how to get over and step up. Getting over is having that, being able to tell that story and make them want to see you in the seat, getting asses in those seats. So he said they need to worry more about being able to tell the story and being able to draw people into the seats, which, if you really think about it, I mean, that not been one of the biggest bitches people have had about Monday Night Raw for how long? The stories were kind of just so either bizarre or made no sense, or, I mean, granted, the last couple weeks haven't been as bad, but like I say, that's been the number one critique. That's why, so to hear that from a guy like Brock, especially when you take into effect, look at the matches he's had since he's come back. Like, I think right away to like the match with AJ Styles, because I never expected that to go on that long. Granted, AJ got suplexed a shit ton. Or look at if you look at some of the stuff before with you know, what Brock's got going on with Roman right now. Look at the story they've told with that. This is the first time they've ever really used Heyman against him, other than when he faced the Big Show at Survivor Series, really. And I don't know, man. I think story-wise, I mean, he's proven it with what they got going on there. What are your thoughts on Brock's comments, Chris?
I want to talk about different comments, and that's what he mentioned, the
Okay,
relationship with Dana White and Vince McMahon, and that explains everything when you really think. When he goes, "Oh, well, I have a father relationship with Vince," you know, I like Dana, and it hits home. It's like he loves Vince because I think he knows he is the golden child. He cannot do anything wrong. Vince literally gives him everything he wants, and I think with UFC, it's soured because they stopped giving him everything. And look, in fairness, it's different in the UFC. You can't hide a guy who can't really fight or can't go, you know, past 5 rounds, or, you know, can't take a punch.
I was going to say, I wouldn't say can't fight, because, I mean, he'd still beat some.
I mean, can't fight past 5 rounds, past 5 minutes. And then, look, he's like Lash in that sense. You know, they're great for the first 5 minutes, and then they gas. They're built like, weight monsters come out of there. But in WWE, he can hide all that. And he has Vince by the short curlies because he knows, I'm the only star right now that WWE has. I'm the only guy that Vince can look and, market to everybody. Grannies, kids, smart marks, casuals, and go, we know who that is. To me, is what the tongue thing, where he literally goes, yeah, me and Vince, I have a father relationship with Vince. Yeah. Basically saying, yeah, Vince does everything I want, and I don't have to worry about him saying no to me.
I can see that. I mean, what do you think, J-Bone? I know you said you watched the whole thing too.
I agree, man. He's like Chris said, he's got Vince kind of by the balls, man. Like, you're not going to change Brock Lesnar, dude. Like, no matter what you write in there, Brock's going to do what he wants. And there's even been questionable times where he may have went to business for himself. So, I mean, that's your biggest star, right? Whether he's here or he's not, everybody's watching Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, what can Vince really do with that? But back to your point, Kyle, I think you're right about what he said about the new stars. You got to find a way to get over. You got to find a way to differentiate yourself from everybody else in the locker room. Something's got to be different. You know what I mean? And there's really not a lot of that on Raw or SmackDown, for that matter. It's the vets that are making a difference.
For somebody who does such little media, I don't want to say little media, right? Because he's got tons of media ties and stuff, but it's rare that you see him in a sit down, long form conversation like this. He did such a great job. I mean, shout out Pat McAfee for kind of leading the dance, I guess you could say, on that one. But Brock did such a great job. To your point, Kyle, he brought up a lot of real issues, both in wrestling, both in his time in UFC. He really covered a broad span of topics in that, hour-long interview. And when I first seen it come up, I was like, I'm very curious because I know he does a great job with a lot of these athletes and stuff that comes on. And whenever it kind of bleeds over like the 20-minute mark, there's usually something good there. He was in studio and everything. He ends up smashing the table right immediately. I mean, like, hits a home run right off the bat with, breaking the table and stuff. And then
that was pretty funny because all I could picture is bam, bam.
Yeah. Hits
How do we break the ice? Let's just break the table.
Oh, shit. Fuck the ice. We'll just break the whole table.
Hits the walk-off home run and chucks his helmet, which in this instance would be his headphones, up into the rafters, gets him stuck. It was a great interview from both parts, and to see Brock in that light was a good change of pace, man, especially for somebody who may be approaching the end of his wrestling career, or at least being steady in the wrestling realm. It would be very interesting to see what he may end up doing with some type of media in the future. So,
I mean, it would be interesting to see. Go ahead.
Let me jump in quickly about the topic where you said, "Oh, guys need to learn to get over." That's something, though, and I want to. That's why I brought up Brock, though. He knows he can say that because he can say to Vince, "No, this is stupid. I'm not doing it. This is crap. I don't like it. Vince, this makes no sense. I'm not doing it." How many other wrestlers do you think can say that? I mean,
that's a fair point.
Damian Priest would probably want to say, Vince, this whole, me losing my temper and having a dark side, that's stupid as hell. Probably not. Or even, guys like, seeing Kevin Owens who just, they're in fear of Vince. Brock's the outlier. He's the one we've literally seen him tell to Vince, shut up, throw the belt at him and walk off. And he knows there is no repercussion. So when he says guys need to get over, need to do this, that's easier said than done when I am bigger than the company. I can walk out. I have other options. They book around me, not the other way around.
It's true.
That's a very fair point. And I mean, especially when you're talking about the WWE side of things. I just thought it was interesting because we've never really heard, Brock talk like that. He talked about football. He talked about wrestling. He talked about MMA. He even talked about, like, they went in depth of talking about when he lost to Frank Mir off the rip in the UFC. They talked about that. And hell, I was there the night he won the UFC title from Randy Couture. He talked about that. Now, I mean, and that brings up an argument for another show because we're already about an hour in. So all of you guys that are checking us out, staying with us, I appreciate it. But this is something that we'll have to bring up on another show, but it's a fair point when you're talking about UFC. So often you hear people say, well, somebody wasn't as good a champion as the next one when we're talking about MMA because of the strength of their opponent. Look at the example that was being used in what I was listening to is actually from past guests of the show, Jimmy Smith. So for all of you guys who are new that are checking us out from the All Sports All Plays Network, make sure you go check out our interview with Raw frontman Jimmy Smith. But with that being said, something they were talking about was the comparison between Anderson Silva as champ and Adesanya as champ, and not to go like matchup by matchup, but what the point that Jimmy was making is at the time, Anderson Silva beat everybody there was to beat. The same as people want to shit on Brock's run in MMA so much, but realistically, with who was in the heavyweight division at that point, he beat everybody until he got fucked up by Kane, and Kane would have held on to the belt, I think, longer than he did if he hadn't had all the issues with his knee. The point I'm making is that so often when people look back at people's runs, whether it be MMA or boxing or whatever, the strength of competition. At the time, Brock was fighting Randy Couture, former light heavyweight champion, former UFC heavyweight champion, Hall of Famer. You've got Frank Mir, who's former heavyweight champion. You got, you literally, Shane Carwin was good at the time. You got Cain Velasquez, who was the guy who took it after him. I just feel like in a lot of times when you're talking about shit like that, you get a lot of recency bias.
Maybe I just have rose tinted glasses or something for Brock's MMA career, whatever the case. But I actually am one of the few that nothing but positivity from my end, man. I mean, for him to go out there, yes, was he given some maybe favorable matchups and stuff like that, and was he able to earn that shot to the title, or was it more so kind of gifted because they wanted him in that position? Maybe. But either way, he did nothing but perform out there. For somebody who didn't have experience in the game, and you had noted this, Kyle, in the interview, he went pretty deep with the fact that he had talked about all of his coaching. He took it as serious as he possibly could and did everything he could to get the victory in those bouts. So nothing but respect from my end, man. If you put your heart into it, doesn't matter what your final record ends up being. If you end up pouring it all into there, and I felt like that's what he did, and he was super successful while doing it. I mean, he held, how many other guys in such a short MMA career can say they held the UFC heavyweight belt? I mean,
right.
Not even so short in an MMA career. Let's talk about training MMA, period. Yes, he had the wrestling background, but to have a wrestling background and go win the UFC heavyweight championship are two totally different things.
Right.
It's sort of weird because I knew people who trained Brock, Pat Barry, Shane Del Rosario, Paul Bradley, because they all were part of that whole Brock's camp when he joined. When he came, he ran the camp basically. He had people who were brought in as trainers and all that, but he basically told them, "This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm not going to do." I look at Brock in sort of a ways. He's the Bo Jackson of MMA, where he could have been great.
Yeah.
And yes, it's sort of like you're not sure where to put him. Because on one hand, he was UFC champion. He was, for what he did, that's impressive. On the other hand, it's like, okay, he was a champion, but Randy Couture was a light heavyweight. Frank Mir was a guy who was even still 20 pounds lighter than him. Shane Carwin gasped after 4 minutes and was basically even said, "I was dying out there." When he took on guys who sort of knew how to defend takedowns, who could strike, Cain Velasquez, Alistair Overeem, he didn't do well. Now, granted, there's also other factors. And I blame this. I point this out with Ronda Rousey and BJ Penn. He never had a trainer who could say, "You got to do this," and just that was it. He could fire his trainers at will. They knew that, so they had to play along with him. There was diverticulitis. There was getting into the later age. That's why I think for a lot of people, it's like Brock and MMA is sort of like, all right, he's all over the place. As I said, he's Bo Jackson. It's the perfect example. This guy who could have done more, but you always go, what if?
I can't argue with that one, but let's see how Bo Jackson's going to do this Saturday inside the Elimination Chamber. Before we get into some of the matches with Elimination Chamber, what are your guys' overall thoughts on this as far as the card as a whole? And here's what I mean when I ask that. Because I noticed this about 2 shows ago when they were doing the Saudi Arabia thing. First of all, Sophia, all of you guys who are watching, please let me know if you're watching. I almost called it Crown Jewel. Elimination Chamber. And let me know what matches you're looking forward to. The reason I ask this is because the last couple shows, it's really seemed like they've stacked these. And mind you, these Saudi shows are all paid for. So regardless of what gets put on this card, these shows are paid for. My thing is this, like, I feel like when a couple shows ago, we saw that they were like stacking these cards as much, if not more, than what we were getting a lot of times when it came to WrestleMania. I don't know if that'll be so much the case this year with WrestleMania, but they've stacked them with these big cards. And again, this Saturday, they've got another big card. But my question with that is, even with all of the matches that are on that, how much of an impact do you really think Elimination Chamber is going to have on WrestleMania? J-Bone, you've been quiet for a minute, man. What are you feeling on Elimination Chamber?
I think this one, man, I mean, this is just our next step to get to WrestleMania, right? We have to use this to get there. So I feel like this is just going to, bring the stories full circle, especially, the whole Bobby Lashley, Brock, Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns thing. We're just tying the loose ends here. I think we all know what's going to happen. We have to have something to get us there, right? So this just happens to be the one. As far as the match card, there are some matches I could do without. I'll be completely honest with you, man. The whole Madcap Moss, Drew McIntyre thing, it's not for me. It's just not for me. I could do without it. Now, the Viking Raiders and the Usos, usually I would like that because I dig the Usos, man. Probably one of the greatest tag teams of our time. But
if you say you don't like War Machine, I'll kick you in the balls.
I love them, but I just don't think they're in the position to take on the tag team champs right now. I just don't think that's...
Who the fuck else gets them before then, though?
I don't know. In Saudi, you could have just did the New Day thing again. Why not? You stack it up. What would you rather see?
For all of you guys in the comments, is J-Bone just hating on the Viking
I'm
Raiders
not
over
hating
here?
on
Yes, motherfucker is hating.
I dig them. I just, like I said, I just don't think they're in that position.
Motherfucker is hating.
That's all.
Well,
I can do that.
Sophia kind of like took the words out of my mouth because, okay, this will have a little bit of bias. Okay, well, since she said it, I'll just go into what I'm looking forward into on this one. Sophia said, I'll be watching. I'm looking forward to Lita versus Becky in the WWE Championship in the Chamber. Look, Lita was my first crush as a kid. Hot damn it. I never saw a chick with tattoos, much less, like Becky said, I never saw a girl with her tongue out her pants when I was in middle school either. So I'm just saying the fact that she could do a moonsault and she was hot and she had tattoos and the whole nine, dude, I was in love with Lita when I was a kid. So I hope that she's somebody we end up getting on the show. I don't give a shit. She's probably heard it from I don't know how many people been on interviews. But Lita versus Lita versus Becky for the title. I think that's going to be cool. Only because I think after what they did on Monday, they pretty much cemented that. I don't think that this is going to be like a one-off with Lita. I think she's going to actually have a run, however long that is, if that's to WrestleMania or through WrestleMania or whatever the case. I am definitely looking forward to that one. As far as the Chamber, I'm really intrigued to see how it goes, just for the simple fact that if Brock wins and it creates the possibility for there to be a unified champion, I've said that 100 times over. I'm all fucking for that. Like, I really hope that's what happens. But I mean, we're still gonna have to see how this all plays out.
Any other way though? I mean, realistically,
only other thing that would make any sense. I mean, I've heard it thrown around, and I mean, I guess it would make sense in a sense, but even at that, I don't think it's going to happen. But what if Goldberg somehow made him fucking slip on a banana peel and he takes the belt back? He takes the belt from Goldberg so that it still sets it up at Mania. But I think all intents and purposes, I think Brock Lesnar is winning the Elimination Chamber, and hopefully we're going to get the unification.
Anybody would like to see my head explode? Check out my Twitter.
Call Johnny Knoxville. Call Johnny Knoxville. His head will blow up.
Check out my Twitter on Saturday night if Goldberg wins that title, because you are going to see one head explode.
Give him the potential. But Chris, if we gave you the potential, how are you feeling about Elimination Chamber?
I gotta admit, look, I hate to be the guy who's the moral authority here, but I'm just not watching it. And look, I understand, money is going to be money, but look, we're watching Olympics where all of us are holding our noses because we know that there's, like torturing, organ harvesting, kids being sold, and basically genocide. We're going, yeah, this is bad. And now we're supposed to watch Saudi Arabia host this whole thing where, oh yes, women are on the billboard, yay! And yet we're just like, okay, oh yeah, well, women who try to speak up basically get stoned and killed. Oh yeah, so civil rights, that's not working in Saudi Arabia. I look at the whole thing and I go, I'm old enough to remember when Ali and Foreman were fighting in Zaire, and you had executions.
I know all about that
during the fight. Before the fight led up there. it's just, I don't know. This is the blood money we talk about. It's like, okay, when do the fans go, nah, this is too much.
Yeah, and it's really the false impression of progression over there. That's like they're trying to show that they're moving forward as a society, and the best way to do that is paying off some wrestling company to come, put on performances and in the hopes of making their country look better. And to your point, yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the case. So,
I mean,
I agree with you.
Go ahead.
100% with the whole watching it thing. I cannot object to somebody taking a stand on this pay-per-view of all of them.
I'm not gonna hold you up, dude. Like, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of them being in Saudi Arabia my damn self. Sophia brings up a really good point in the comments. She says there's 3 women's matches, which is progress. When you're right. Well, no, you laugh, dude. But I mean, when they first went over there, you couldn't even have women wrestle there.
Right.
Like, you couldn't have
And
women.
don't they have to be
over
covered
there.
as well? Is that still the thing, right? They got to be completely covered.
Yeah.
Covered. They're gonna wear, baggy stuff. I mean, it's
So we will see no
progress.
Lita
Like, it
song.
almost feels like,
We will see no
look
Lita
here,
song on
but look
Saturday.
over there. It's like the Kansas City Shuffle, as they say. Look to the right, don't look to the left. Look at the right, don't look to the left. Look at these women here who are wrestling. Don't look the way we're jailing over there.
Yeah,
This just feels like it's the dog and pony show, and Vince doesn't care. It's like, okay, hey, you're paying me $50 million for it. I really don't care. Just sign that check and make sure my guys don't get held up in customs.
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, that didn't happen.
I guess if this
We're
was
not
like
held
a
hostage. They were just
closed-circuit,
plain failure.
no camera type thing, I would probably feel, like as if it shouldn't even be happening. But I see everybody's point on it. But the fact that we get to watch it from here, I mean, it's like I get everybody's point, but I'm still gonna watch it. I'm gonna try to block that part of it out, I guess.
No, and I'm not mad.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at you for saying that because like I said, with it being Saudi Arabia, bro. I mean, like I said, with everything that's going on, it's not a good look. I totally get why people don't want to go there. I mean, we already know guys like Bryan Danielson and stuff like that refused to go over there when that stuff was going on. Like I say, I mean, to each their own. I mean, it's a great card of what they're putting together, at least for what's supposed to be on it. But at the same time, it's like, I wonder if after all the backlash they've gotten since this was ever announced, like, do you ever think WWE wishes they could go back and be like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have done this Saudi Arabia thing?
No, because Vince doesn't care. I mean, look, as a friend of mine once said, Vince has done more to ruin international relations than any politician. I mean, his portrayal of African Americans, Asians, he wanted to use Japanese wrestler as Hirohito, and they had to talk him out of that. He does not care. You give him a check, he will sign it, and he'll go, all right, whatever. And it's not just him; it's the UFC.
Sophia said
Abu
not
Dhabi.
at all. He said Vince loves his money.
It's all about the
It
money,
is,
man.
it's
It all
everybody.
comes down to it.
I mean, Tom Brady has a brand in China. You think Tom Brady cares? Nope. Sign that check, and I'll just hold my nose.
Yep.
I can't argue that. Well, let's at least talk a little bit about how we see some of this going. Do you guys all think that it's a foregone conclusion that Lesnar's winning the chamber? Do you really think? Yeah,
It's absolutely got to be because of all the story they had built up to lead into WrestleMania, and it just so happened that it was convenient that he lost the belt at Rumble. They had one more pay-per-view just in time for him to get it back to build up to Mania again. So, perfect. Things are aligning just a little too perfectly for it to not go.
Jerry, I love you being in the comments, bro. Please make sure you're in when you check us out. Also, if you need any photography done, Jerry Vagana is your man. Like I said, those badass pictures you saw of those shirts, which if you haven't gotten one, I can ship you one of them badass shirts wherever the hell you need it. But with that being said, he's saying that Nick Khan says he wants to go over there twice more a year. Son of a bitch.
money.
Oh, man.
I'm with you, Sophia. I hope that's how it plays out. Title versus title. I'm cool with that.
Gotta be. You would think, right? There's just nothing bigger.
Dude, I just think
There's
it works
nothing bigger
better
than
with
that.
one champion, bro. I'm sorry.
There's
I just
nothing
am a
bigger.
fan of the one champion. I don't know that we'll ever get back to that because of the fact that we got SmackDown and you've got, Raw on separate channels. But
yeah. I'm just gonna come out and say it now. When this happens, title versus title, Roman versus Brock, and as we all know, because of the whole CM Punk and MJF thing. I'm the king of the predictions now, so I get that label. Roman's gonna beat Brock at WrestleMania. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I
Roman
can believe
wins.
it.
Roman walks out of WrestleMania with both titles.
I mean, all right. Well, he's making way early WrestleMania predictions. You got to make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can hear our predictions once we actually know a little bit more about what's going on there. But we're gonna have to pretty much, man. We're gonna have to see how all this plays out with Elimination Chamber, where everything goes with Cody. Chris, I appreciate you joining us, man, and jumping in here. Let everybody know what they can find over there at The Last Call with Chris Connor, man. I know you've been having quite a few great guests over there, and now you're back doing the solo thing.
I've switched to YouTube. You got to be hooked on that. So we did having on the show this week. I actually edited a bit here. We have 2020 Australian Olympic Alex Winwood. He was making his pro debut. We're gonna be talking about him. I know he's with Tony Tolji, and he's actually maybe with Top Rank. We actually also will be working on, he'll be in the next couple of weeks, Tim Zhu, who, if you've ever heard of his father, probably Costa Zhu, he'll be joining the show. He'll be fighting on the big Charlo versus Castano card. He'll be taking on Terrell Gaucher, and he gets the winner of that fight between Castano and Charlo. So we're going to be talking about that, and it's not official, but we can say it here. We're bringing back Michelle Larson on the show. One of my favorites will be back on. The Karate Hottie. Took some time. I was busy shooting with Tom Hardy, but we are bringing her back on. And I'm excited about that because we're going to be talking about her acting career, her MMA career, and we'll even take off for more movies in the next couple of years.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm really fucking jealous at a lot of the people that you get on your show. So I'm just saying, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to Chris's channel. And when you go on there, tell them that you want to see some of them come over this way to Knockouts and 3 Counts. Yeah, man. But that sounds like it's about it for our maiden voyage here on the All Sports All Plays Network. Shout out to Freddie Henderson and the guys over there for bringing us in, and stay tuned for what might be coming next. As I said earlier in this show, make sure you're here this Thursday at 9 o'clock as we will be joined by the lovable psychopath, one Mr. Tommy Vendetta, ahead of ICW No Holds Barred and RPW Code Orange. We saw that Tommy Vendetta had some beef with fucking Hoodfoot. I don't know, man. It sounds like a banger to me. It's going down in Chicago. Sophia, we appreciate you checking us out from across the border. And I guess that means it's last call for your boys from Knockouts and 3 Counts. Until next time and in the in-between time, appreciate you. Peace.